The Herbalife Broadcast Network is proud to present Kurt and Cindy O'Connell's 5-part training series. Today is part 5, Advancing to the Next Level.
Hi everybody. Hey, what we want to get into on this session is pretty exciting. We want to talk about getting to the next level in your business. Pretty common to have that question. You've probably wondered yourself. You've probably asked it yourself. I know we had, over the first few years in our business, asked that question quite a bit and still hear it quite a bit today. Is, I've been at this certain level in the business. How do I get to the next level? And that's what we want to talk about. No matter where you are at today, how do you go to the next level on your journey to wherever your ultimate goal is in Herbalife? Whether it's President's Team, Chairman's Club, Founder Circle, there's really some very practical direction you can take on how to do that, not only for you, but for your whole group.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting too. A lot of people come into it's not very long that you're in the business before you start to realize the excitement of President's Team and wanting to get there and knowing that that's kind of like the goal, the destination. I know when we first started the business, we wanted to be President's Team in 12 months. We'd known other people in the business that had done it, so we figured we were going to do that too. And in fact, I put a scrolling banner on my computer and it said, President's Team, 12 months, and so we got going in the business, and the next month rolled along and it was President's Team in 11 months, and the banner kept scrolling, and the next month rolled around and it was President's Team to 10 months. But the sad part about it was, even though we were doing all this activity, we were retailing like crazy. We had only sponsored a few distributors, and when the next month came around and I had to erase that, President's Team 9 months, I was ready to take the whole banner off the screen because it wasn't looking like President's Team in 12 months at all. We had so much farther to go. But part of that is what happens in this business. We come in, we're excited, we see that goal, President's Team, we think, boy, I want to get to President's Team, and that is a great goal, it's a great destination. But what does it take to go from distributor or supervisor to President's Team? For us, it was like, I just want to be there, but really had no idea what it was going to take. And we went along that route. We didn't make President's Team in 12 months. And we went along that route for 2.5 years. We were Get Team, but it took us a while to figure out what exactly are those steps to President's Team and what is it that we can do. And we think that we've boiled this down into some very, very easy, practical steps and concepts for you to understand what it takes. And once you can grasp this and understanding the step you have to take to get to the next level, it really becomes so much more focused and so much more within your reach. And Kurt does a great job at explaining this, and I think you might want to just show them our little
try to tackle that
step here.
Okay. Now, the thing is, like when we were at that point Cindy was talking about, we reached Get Team. How long did it take us to get to Get Team?
Took us 15
a little over a
months,
year.
A little over a year.
Okay, a little over a year to get to Get Team. And we thought, I remember thinking, wow, we made it to the Tab Team level. It's a great place to be. And it wasn't our final destination. It was a step along the way. And it seemed as though it would continue to go from there for me. I thought, wow, it's Get Team now, and the rate things are growing. It's going to be Millionaire Team pretty soon, and beyond that, it's going to be President's Team, and ultimately Chairman's Club, and maybe someday Founder Circle. Well,
yeah, I think that Mark Hughes called that brain damage. And
yeah,
we had that. It's kind of like you reach a certain level and you think, okay, I've arrived. It's just going to slide on in now. Yeah. And because we had hit that first rung, that Tab Team, that global expansion team level, we thought we were there. We had arrived. But that's ultimately what we had, the disease that Mark called brain damage. So
I think that's kind of like moving into the house when the framers just got done, before the roof's put on. It's like, okay, it's not time to slow down yet. But we still were focusing on, we were still retailing, we were still recruiting, so we're doing the retail, the recruiting, and thinking it's going to happen. Well, we got a little disillusioned after a while because we were stuck there. And stuck at Get Team is not a bad place to be stuck. However, a lot better than being stuck at the job, I'll tell you that. But still the confusion, how do I get to the next level? Well, Let's boil it down into a few things. I'm going to talk about 7 points here and then maybe get a visual on what all it involves. You know, when you first start the business, and any of you who have seen how we recommend getting a new distributor started, one of the very first things we want to do with a brand new distributor is help them get their dreams out on paper, help them determine from what their lifestyle dreams are to how much money they're going to need to make to have that happen, and then what level in the marketing plan they're going to need to reach to get to that kind of an income, okay? That's still foundational for everything we're going to talk about here, because now getting to the next level is just one step on the way to your ultimate journey. So you've always got to have the ultimate journey in mind. As we go through this too, what I'd really like you to pay very close attention to is not only to look at how this applies to your own personal business, but also take this in the terms of your organization, any of your distributors. How can this apply to them? Because it applies to them. We're in a business of duplication. If you learn something from this, you will get paid a whole lot more if you teach it to those. So absorb what you can absorb from this, and at the same time then teach it on down line, and it'll continue to grow. So all the way through the next few minutes with us, look from those two perspectives. For you and your personal business, all of your downline in their personal business. How can you get these concepts fleshed through? So let's look at that first topic I was talking about. First thing you want to do, jot down a few notes on this. The first thing that's necessary in knowing how to get to the next level from wherever you are, I mean, we're talking about no matter what point you are. If you're a GET team member, how do you get to MIL team? If you're a MIL team member, how do you get to President's team? And we're going to take a little bit of liberty and talk about if you're President's team, how to get to Chairman's Club. Keep in mind, guys, when we get to that level, because we're even going to talk about Chairman's Club, how to get to President's team.
Founder Circle.
Or the Founder Circle, President's team. Keep in mind, when we get to those levels at this stage in our business, we're not going to be talking about experience up there at that point. A little bit of theory, so we don't presume to have been to Chairman's Club. We've got 4 diamonds at this stage, and so I think we know 80% of what it takes to get there, but that isn't getting there, right? So keep that in mind. Everything up to that point is experience on our part. Okay, so let's start with point number 1. Know your planned destination. You have got to know what your planned destination is. Is your goal GET team? Is your goal Millionaire team? Is it Founder Circle? Okay, you've got to know that. Our goal, our strong goal, after we really saw how to get to President's team, we turned it into Chairman's Club. And that was the level and the lifestyle that we are looking for in our business, and that's what we're still striving towards and working on that next step. But whatever that is for you, very important to know that. You wouldn't want to start out a journey, you wouldn't want to go out the door, jump in your car and say, gee, I'm driving, where to? You know, I mean, usually when you go into your car, usually you have a planned destination in mind, and that makes it a whole lot more
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Less stressful, especially if you have the Navigator system.
Or efficient. Yeah, our Navigator. We won't go there. But a whole lot more efficient getting there if you have a planned destination. I mean, even think about this for a minute. I liken it to this. If you wanted to go to, say, to a second floor, you want to take a stairway up to the second floor, would the first thing that entered your mind be, I want to take a step? Or all of a sudden you're starting to get confused. The way I'm talking to you doesn't make sense, because we don't think that way. The first thing we think about is, I want to go upstairs. We think final destination. And then the brain automatically starts saying, okay, I need to then find the stairway, and now I focus on step 1, then step 2, then step 3, okay? But it begins with final destination. Get that clear. If you have not done that, you need to take the time and spend some time looking at the lifestyle you want to ultimately have, how much income it's going to take to be able to produce that, and then what level in the marketing plan will you need to reach to be able to get to that kind of income. Again, do this for yourself. Teach your distributors to do it for themselves also. So that's the first step on the way toward getting to the next level. The next step would be your second point, would be put it on paper. Okay? Everything that I just described to you, put it on paper. Doesn't have to be huge. But jotted it down in a few notes. Cindy was talking about how she even put it on our scrolling computer, President's Team in 12 months. Now, okay, so we didn't make it in 12 months, but we made it, and that's okay. You readjust as you go, but get something on paper. And I would suggest putting a time frame to it. Even though that 12 months wasn't realistic, it's only because we didn't know what was realistic for us. And I'll tell you what, the next time we put it down on paper, when we wanted to get to President's Team, the next time we were a Get Team, and when we figured out some of the mentoring and the things we learned in the business and some of what we're talking about here, we then rewrote the goal to President's Team. And I remember we said, 1 year from this date, we will make it to President's Team. In fact, we even said that to our upline Chairman's Club member in a training once. And sure enough, it was 11 months from that date that we were President's Team. So pretty powerful once you learn what it takes. So get it in writing, put a time frame on it, and as you grow, if you need to adjust the time frame, hey, so what? That's okay, as long as you stick with it and you get there.
And that's the whole idea of goals anyway. When you write a goal down and you have a target, what happens is your energies focus on achieving that target and that goal. So what happens is you become more clear, you become more focused, your activity brings you into a level where you end up going for the goal. So ultimately what happens is if you're putting that much energy and focus and time into that goal, looking at that goal and doing what you have to do to achieve that goal, usually you'll hit that goal somewhere in that, in that target zone of what you laid out. That's why it's very important to have that in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And powerful. That's a whole nother topic altogether there, how powerful the goals are, but make that a part of what you're going to do here. Now, the third step on getting to the next level we'd recommend is to identify each step in Herbalife's marketing plan between where you are now and where you ultimately want to be. Okay? Now, this may seem maybe trivial to some of you who know the marketing plan well and you understand it all, but it isn't. This is very important. That's that same concept I just talked about, is when you think in your mind, I want to go to the second floor, the next step is I now focus on each step in between. And that's what I'm talking about here. Get that final destination laid out, but now identify each step along the way. And what we'd like to do here is kind of give a visual for that as to how that works. And we're going to put it as a ladder. Okay, and each rung in the ladder, we're going to identify that as starting from being the entry level with Herbalife, which is a customer. We're going to start on the bottom rung, and then we're going to identify each rung as a next level up all the way up to Founder Circle. Okay, now on that ladder then, what we want to do is represent what you want to go through as you identify each step along the way. On the left side of each of those rungs, here we want to put in what the qualification to arrive on that rung is in Herbalife's marketing plan. Okay? So what I mean by that is that maybe you're relatively new into the business, maybe you're a supervisor and you're thinking, what's my next let's back up. You're a supervisor maybe, and you say you want to get to, let's just say, Founder Circle, okay? And what you would then do is look at your next step from supervisors, what? World Team, okay? Well, now you want to look at what is the qualification? What must I do to qualify for World Team? And write that in on the left-hand side of that rung. And the qualification for World Team is produce 10,000 personal volume points in 1 month, or 500 royalties in 1 month. And now you have a business level goal to attain to. But we want to do that at each step, each rung along the way. Let's do that really quickly here. A consumer, what's the first level you can enter the business at? It's a consumer, okay? And what do you have to do to qualify to be a consumer? Well, you need to purchase the products. More accurately, I guess I would say, more accurately, as we talk about each of these rungs, when we describe the qualification, let's look at it as far in the terms of what it would take to successfully remain on that rung. To reach a rung, and if you wanted to stay there forever, what would you have to do to be successful there? Okay? Let's put it in those terms. So actually a consumer would not only have to purchase products, but a consumer ideally would want to get the results they're looking for. Purchase the products and get results. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Does that qualify me as a consumer? Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay. So what's the next rung up? If I want to go to the next level in the marketing plan from a consumer, it would be I'd need to become a distributor. Okay? So if I'm a consumer and I need to become a distributor, what's the qualification? The qualification is purchase an international business pack. Fill out the application, send it in. I'm qualified as a distributor, right? Let's go to the next rung as far as qualification. From a distributor, the next level is supervisor. And to become a supervisor, I need to produce 4,000 volume points in 1 month or 2,500 personal volume points 2 consecutive months in a row. Okay? And keep in mind, really, this is a good thing to go. If you know this already, great. This is a good thing to work out with your new guys at some point in the business as they're developing so they get a bit of a feel for the whole thing. Now, if you're relatively new, when I start getting into some of these next qualifications, if you don't understand it all, don't worry about it. You can learn more, go into the marketing plan section of the career manual. Learn as you go, you'll understand more of it. But now this next step is World Team. And to get to that rung, to qualify for that, you need to produce, as I mentioned earlier, 10,000 personal volume points in 1 calendar month or 500 royalties in 1 calendar month. Now, royalties really amount to what the supervisors, in the basic form, what the supervisors in your first 3 levels produce. You can have a potential of earning up to 5% of that as royalty. So it simply means if you have a supervisor you sponsored who does, let's say, 100 volume points, you could earn up to 5 royalty points from that, because that's 5%. That's about as far as I'm going to get into it now. The marketing plan will lay it out more, but the royalties, that's the concept there, okay? All right, the next step from World Team, the next rung is what? Get Team, Global Expansion Team. This is when we enter the tab team, the red pins. Beautiful red pin. I remember when we were in business aspiring, going to the trainings and always seeing those red pins. If only I knew what they knew. And there was a day when I did. We got that pin. How did we get that? To qualify, your organization needs to produce 1,000 royalty, or you need to earn 1,000 royalties per month, 3 months in a row. And that amounts to, if your organization is producing 20,000 organizational volume points, then that puts you in a position to qualify for that. Okay? 20,000 per month. Now, from Get Team, the next rung is Millionaire Team. And to qualify for that, you need to earn 4,000 royalty points per month, 3 consecutive months in a row. And that means the equivalent of your first 3 levels of supervisors, your organization, producing about 80,000 volume points collectively per month. Then where do we go from there? President's Team. Now that's 10,000 royalties per month, 3 months in a row, and you're a President Team member. You now graduate from the Emerald pin of the Millionaire Team up to the Diamond pin, and they're beautiful. All of the pins are beautiful, and I just, but diamonds are my favorite. So, now, and that amounts to your organization producing 200,000 volume points in your first 3 levels of supervisors per month, 3 calendar months in a row. Now, the next rung up from there is Chairman's Club. And that's the one we're striving for right now. And to become a Chairman's Club member, you must have 5 lines in your organization, I'm talking sponsorship lines, that have a President Team member in them, 5 separate lines, okay? So what I mean by lines is if you sponsor someone and they sponsor someone and they sponsor someone, that's a line. So if you have 5 separate lines with at least 1 President Team member in them, you have qualified for Chairman's Club. So then the next level from there is founder circle, and that means you need 10 lines with a president team member in them, and you make it to founder circle. So those are the qualifications. Now, that's kind of the wrap up for, what was that third point? Identifying each marketing plan step leading up to your ultimate goal, okay? So we've just done that. And then identify what you need to do to qualify for each of those positions. Okay? Make sense? Mm-hmm. Anything to add to that?
Well, only, when Kurt and I had that goal and we first started the business to be president's team, we threw that out there on our scrolling screen. We didn't pay that much attention to all these other positions in the marketing plan. We knew they were there, but to us they weren't important because the important one was president's team. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like we really connected to the fact that there were all these different positions that we needed to get to. We didn't consider them important or pay much attention to them because we thought, president's team, that's where we want to be. And I think it's important to understand and know these because if you can bring those back down to where you want to be, you can see how much easier it's to get to president's team by looking at each rung of the ladder.
Absolutely. Can you imagine in that staircase example I gave, if you went up and you wanted to go up to the second floor and you stood in front of the staircase and said, well, I'm going to do this in one leap, it would look pretty darn impossible. And even if you tried, you get a little beat up along the way trying and get discouraged, okay? And that's why we need to break it down into one step at a time too. Really, really good point. Okay, the fourth thing you want to do, now that you've identified where you want to go, and you've identified each step between where you are, but along the way up to that, and the qualification for each. Fourth step is to define your next step. What does that mean? What rung am I on now? And what is the very next rung I need to work on? And that's all you focus on, okay? One step at a time. And that becomes very powerful. So it isn't that big, overwhelming. I mean, we did get discouraged, partly because we didn't really see the achievement steps along the way. Really, really important. Now, here's where I think it really becomes, for me, powerful. Some of the shifting in our thinking that took place once we knew how to start taking these steps. And this would be the fifth thing that I'd want you to begin focusing on. And that is, number 5, focus on what you must become to take the next step. Okay? It's one thing to look at what you must do to qualify. That's what you must do. But the second thing is, what must you become? And this is really profound, I think, because you hear Jim Rohn from the very beginning tell us that your business will grow as fast as you grow. So what that makes me think is now there's a little more to this than just getting to the next step. There's something that's got to happen in here, something in me. Maybe I need to learn something. So here's how we define it. On the right side of that ladder, what we want to do now next to each rung is identify what a person must become to successfully reach that rung and remain there successfully if that's the furthest they want to go, how to stay there permanently if they wanted to, okay? Because what you become is really going to be more important at certain stages than what you do, okay? Anything to add to that one?
No, that's great.
I'm doing a good job, okay? Let's keep going here then. All right, let's look at this. A consumer. What must a consumer become to remain as a consumer forever? Because ultimately that's what we want. We want people in the 3 groups. What are the 3 groups? Quick recap. We all want to build a consumer group in our business. We all want to build a volume producer group in our business. And we all want to build a group of builders in our business if we want royalty income, okay? So for a consumer to successfully fit into that group and stay in that consumer group and stay there forever, they must become a product lover, okay? So you want to write that in there. A product lover is someone who's going to stay in that consumer group forever. Now this is why I teach my consumers how to get results on the products. Why? So that they fall in love with the products. Why? So they become a product lover. Why? So they stay in my consumer group forever. Okay? Make total sense. So now this gives me a bit of a vision as far as not only what do I need to become if I'm a consumer and want to stay there, but now what do I need to do with my consumer group? So product lover is what you need to become to be a successful consumer. Now the next step from there, let's say I'm a consumer and I want to become a distributor. How do I qualify? Buy an international business pack. But does that make me a successful distributor? Really? In essence?
Not really.
Buying the international business pack doesn't really make me successful there. What would make me successful? I mean, what does a distributor do in essence? Distributes products, right? That's what they do. If I'm a distributor, I will distribute products to consumers. So, but to really succeed at it, what must I do? Here's how we term it, I must become a customer server. Okay? A customer server is someone who helps people learn how to fall in love with the products, how to get product results. Customer service, customer follow-up is the name of the game. So if I'm going to successfully build a consumer group, I'm going to need to start learning how to get these help these customers get results through customer service. So if you become a customer server, you will become a successful distributor, and you could stay on that rung successfully for the rest of your life. That's what you wanted to do. Okay, let's go to the next one. What must you become to go from distributor to supervisor? Well, now, to qualify, you've got to do 4,000 volume points in 1 month, or 2,500 2 consecutive months in a row. And to successfully stay at supervisor, every calendar month we're required to qualify sometime once during, or every calendar year, we must qualify for supervisor again, at least once, requalify. So I've got to be able to consistently produce that amount of personal volume at least once a year, right? So what must I become to do that? Well, I must become a volume producer. Okay? Not complicated. But now you're starting to see as you work with your different groups how this comes to play. And now if my goal is to have a whole lot of people in my organization who are happy at supervisor, that are successful there, now I need to help them become volume producers. And I want to cause them to learn how to produce volume through a building of a consumer group, and if they want to build some groups of builders also, okay? All right, what's the next level? Here's now where things start transitioning a little bit. Going from supervisor to world team, now you got to start producing some pretty substantial volume, or you have to begin developing an organization of people that produce so that you can get some royalty growth from that. So to become a successful world team member, someone who would be able to consistently produce 10,000 personal volume points per month, month after month after month, I believe you need to become an effective builder. Okay, that's the third group we talked about. And what does a builder do? A builder builds all three groups, builds a consumer group, a volume producer group, and a group of builders. So a world team member needs to successfully be building these three groups. Think about that for a minute. If you teach 2 people how to become a supervisor in a month, that will produce for you 8,000 personal volume points. And if you're developing a consumer group of, say, maybe 15 or 20 people, that's another 1,500 volume points. A volume producer group could add another 1,000 or 2,000, depending on how you're growing, and you're now at 10,000 volume points per month. Now, this is really important because there's a stage of the business that we call that building stage, when for those who want to be a builder, you're building all 3 groups aggressively. If you want to go really fast, you build all 3 at once. You can build them one at a time, but if you want to go aggressively, you build them all at once. And this is a mode then where we suggest to our guys that they shoot for somewhere around this range, if they want to go really fast, of maintaining this level of activity every single month. And so you must become a successful builder of the 3 groups to become world team. Okay? Now, I want to make an observation of how this is working so far. What I want you to look at is look at this. Suppose you're a supervisor right now. Well, let me even back this way down all the way down to a distributor. Suppose you're a distributor, and you have someone in your organization who is one rung beneath you. See that? And they're a consumer. And they want you. And they want to make it up a rung. They want to become a distributor. They want to go to the next level, and you're there. How are they going to learn how to get there? Well, they're going to learn it from you. What are you going to teach them to do? How to become a customer server, how to service customers. Now, by teaching your people how to get to the rung you are at, that now you teach enough people how to do that, and that will automatically push you up to the next rung. This is a very important foundational concept of this marketing plan that simplifies it. You heard this business is fun, simple, magical. This, I think, is the brilliant miracle of this thing. It all begins with knowing how to get results yourself on the products. If I know how to do that, and if I teach one other person how to get results on the products, I've just become a distributor. And if I teach enough people how to do that, how to be on the rung I'm on, it now pushes me up. It's so cool. So let's look at that. Let's see how that works. I'm a distributor, right? And I'm distributing, I'm developing a customer base. Well, if I start teaching enough of my customers how to become a distributor, I'm going to be, in no time at all, producing 4,000 volume points. It puts me up to the next rung. And now once I reach that next rung, what do I know how to teach someone now? I know how to teach someone how to get to supervisor. It's really cool. So this kind of really changed our business when we caught that. Because I remember we were at Get Team and we're stuck and we're stuck and we're stuck. And it's like, we kept focusing on President's Team. And we realized when we changed our focus, we started focusing on our guys. That's when this whole thing turned around. When I stopped focusing on how to climb in the marketing plan, but we started focusing on how to teach our guys to get to the level we're at, the whole thing totally turned around. And that, you teach enough people to get to the rung you're on, it pushes you up the next one. So that's actually the sixth thing I want you to write down here and keep in mind as we're talking about what you must become to hit the next levels. Number 6, teach your guys how to get to the rung you're on. If you just focus on that, teach all of your willing guys how to get to the rung you're on right now. That will help you grow to the next level. So let's now go to World Team. Or wait a minute, those of you at Supervisor, you want to learn how to get to World Team. You want to get there. Take what I just talked about here and look at this for a minute. You know how to get to Supervisor, don't you? And if you taught that, if you just focus down line, teach enough people how to get to Supervisor, if 2 or 3 do that in one calendar month, see how it pushes you up to World Team? And what do you now know how to do? Now you've got some supervisors in your organization that you can teach how to get to World Team. Brilliant, brilliant marketing plan. Okay, let's go there. Where were we? We're at World Team right now. How do you get to Global Expansion Team? I can hear a lot of people perking up their heads. Tell me. What must you become? Okay, well, what you must become to get to Global Expansion Team is you must become an effective teacher of group building. Okay? What do I mean by that? An effective teacher of building these 3 groups. This is key. This is really important. You know, the 3 groups, the consumers, volume producers, and builders. You'll notice that things change a little bit here. Getting to World Team is based on what you do. All right? But getting to Global Expansion Team, the only way you can get there is through royalties produced by your team. So now it isn't directly related to what you do that gets you there. It's what your team does. And this is where teaching becomes extremely critical. So here's how you want to do that. World Team members, you're trying to figure out how to get to Get Team. Focus on teaching very, very well. Focus on just teaching the 3 group members how to do this. But if you're teaching enough of those builders how to build their 3 groups, see what we're doing? teach them how to get to the rung you're on. This is huge. And so you must effectively begin teaching that so that they build the 3 groups of their own. So now you see how you're focusing, World Team members, on how to teach others to become builders. You have 2 people start entering that World Team in 1 calendar month, and that begins qualifying you for Global Expansion Team. And so you don't really need to know how to get to Global Expansion Team. All you need to know is how to get to where you are today and teach it to someone else. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. So this is really the key of a Global Expansion Team, is becoming a teacher, an effective teacher. And here's the definition of teach. If you haven't written this down before, write it down now. Cause to learn. Okay? Are you causing your builders to learn how to build these 3 groups successfully on their own? And if you're teaching all of these things, what they must become on all these lower rungs to the 3 groups, it's amazing. Am I being clear on that? Mm-hmm. Great. Let's keep going. All right, Global Expansion Team members. So you're there, you effectively taught people how to build teams of these 3 groups of their own, and now you want to get that emerald pin. Go to Millionaire Team. What must you become to do that? Well, if the whole concept here is teaching people how to get to the rung you're on, think about that. Then what would you need to do? You're an effective teacher at Global Expansion Team, and you absolutely need to refine that, hone that, get better at it. But now you need to teach some other people how to become effective teachers, right? How to effectively teach their people to build these 3 groups. Here's what we call that. We called this, you must become a teacher developer. Okay? Kind of our own homemade word for our group. But you must become a teacher developer. This is an important key in leadership. I think this is a transition. In Global Expansion Team, you can really succeed there teaching others, teaching 1 level of people how to build their 3 groups. But now going to a Millionaire Team is a little different. You need to teach them how to teach that. Mm-hmm. This is now moving, this is a leadership transition. It goes more than just teaching directly. It's developing people into teachers, showing them how to teach, modeling it, doing that whole car example that you may have seen us talk about. This is a real leadership step, and it isn't a complicated thing. For those of you who are maybe at World Team or Get Team and you're thinking, oh, how could I become this great leader? You just teach them how to get to where you are. But here's where I think maybe we get stuck at Get Team a little bit.
Well, I think if we look at that example of the car that we did, it's kind of like if you become a teacher of building those groups, and you learn how to, and you can teach those people how to do that. Like we said, we put you in the car and we said, okay, now you have to teach your students how to drive the car. It's kind of like the same thing with the Millionaire Team. If you don't get in there and show that driver how to teach somebody how to drive a car, they're going to stay at the Get Team level because they'll be able to be teachers of building. They can have people learn, but they won't make that step if you don't get in that front seat with them and teach them, the people that your students, how to become teachers. Mm-hmm. You're going to get stuck there. So the Global Expansion Team is a level where unless that duplicates down, you're going to stay at Get Team, and that's what we mean by becoming a teacher developer. Mm-hmm. Don't just teach somebody how to produce volume. Teach somebody how to teach somebody how to produce volume. Mm-hmm. Then that will automatically push you to the next rung.
I love that. Now, and this is really boiling down to the basics. Don't get too hung up on this because I know we start saying you teach your guys how to build 3 groups, and now you teach them how to teach their guys how to build 3 groups. It starts getting a little hard to follow. 2 points I want you to look at here. We're talking now about multiple levels. This is part of why sometimes our kind of business is called multi-level. You're now focusing on, is this going and continuing to duplicate more levels down? What's that magic word? Duplication. What are the 3 things we all need to do? Use the products, create personal volume, teach others how to use the products, create personal volume, and teach others. How to use the products, create personal volume, teach others. You see how this now goes level by level as we do the teaching, how to teach. Okay? This is the big key, and this is why I think a lot of people, I think Global Expansion Team is an area of learning. When we go from there to Millionaire Team, it's learning that main skill, how to look at the shape of your organization. And if you're kind of wondering how you're doing here, here's a checkup point. Look at the shape of your organization. Are you consistently getting second and third, and are you getting third and growing down to fourth levels of people, of builders who are getting all three groups, consumers, volume producers, and builders that are adding to their groups? And if you don't know that, draw your organization out. Go through the lineage and draw it out. And if you see it stopping, I got this person in business, they're building, their three groups, but their builders aren't building a group. That's a person you need to go to and develop them into a teacher. Hey, Mary, you got this group of builders. I see you got 6, 7, 8, 9 supervisors, but none of them have a supervisor. You haven't taught them how to do what you just did. You haven't taught them how to build a group. Let me work with you. Let me model for you. Let me teach your next person with you listening and watching and modeling. This is key, and that's what we mean by becoming a teacher developer to go to a Millionaire Team. Now, let's go from there. What do you do at that point? Going from Millionaire Team to President's Team, again, focusing on what you must become. Well, again, if it's a matter of teaching people how to get to the rung you're on, and you're what we called someone at Millionaire Team, you're now what we would call a leader or a teacher developer, all right? Then I would say to get to President's Team, you need to be what we call a diamond, okay? And what is a diamond? A diamond is someone who can develop leaders. Not that big of a deal, right? It's the conversation we just had with the Millionaire Team members is the essence. The conversation we just had with the Get Team members on how to get to Millionaire Team, that's the essence of how the Millionaire Team, you guys, need to work with your Global Expansion Team members. Now you're developing them into the leaders, saying, okay, are you developing teachers in your group? If you do, it's going to push you up that next level, and you will find that you have developed leaders that are now able to take a bigger scope on their organization. They can look levels deep and see where people need to be taught how to teach. And this thing just gets wild at that point. And so that's what we call a diamond. A diamond is someone who can develop those leaders. So Millionaire Team members teach others how to develop teachers in their groups, and it's going to be amazing. Now think about it. To get from Global Expansion Team to get to Millionaire Team, what do you need to teach? How many people do you need to teach to get to where you are? 3 maybe? Really, if you're Global Expansion Team and you teach 3 others how to get to Global Expansion Team, with all the other activity you would have going, that's probably strong enough to get you to Millionaire Team. And when you're Millionaire Team, I'll tell you, if you teach 1 person as well as some of the others who are at Get Team, by the time 1 of them reaches Millionaire Team, maybe 2, odds are that's enough to definitely make you a President Team member. And now that you know how to be a President Team member, can't you teach that to someone else? Absolutely. All right, let's move up. So if I'm a President Team member now, what must I become to get to the next rung? A Chairman's Club member. Well, this is the point where we talk about theory, okay? Because we've only had 4 diamonds so far. And we've got more definitely on the way, and you guys know who you are, that are guys. So it's inevitable. It's pretty darn close. But so we're going to build on the theory based on what we know as far as how to develop 4, because I think we just repeat that again, and that'll be our 5 to Chairman's Club. But if becoming a President Team member means becoming a diamond, then becoming a Chairman's Club member, you must become a diamond cutter, okay? Now, what do we mean by a diamond cutter? It's more than just a fancy term. Cutting diamonds is, think about it, 1 cut at a time. The diamond comes in the rough. It's this rock that has such tremendous potential, but if you see a diamond in a rough, it's not all that beautiful. Tremendous potential, but it needs someone to develop it into its full potential. And that's what I really believe by teaching someone to get to president's team. All we're doing is one step at a time, helping someone learn how to become what inside we have the full potential to be in the first place. And that's what we mean by diamond cutting. It's one cut at a time. First, I'm going to teach you how to build a consumer group. Then I'm going to teach you how to build a volume producer group. Then I'm going to teach you how to build a builder group. Now I'm going to teach you how to teach them to build their people to build that group. Now I'm going to teach you how to see which ones of those need to be taught. Bam, another cut off of that diamond until that diamond is complete and reaches president's team. So a good skilled diamond cutter is going to make it to Chairman's Club. That's our way of looking at it. Now, okay, so here's one more theory. How does a Chairman's Club member go up the next rung? By getting to Founder Circle? Theory again, but I think we've got a good grip on it this time. What must you become? Well, if you already know how to cut the diamonds at Chairman's Club, and to get there you had to cut 5 diamonds, well then I think to be a Founder Circle, it's just a matter of get more of them. You must become a diamond collector. That's what we call that. Someone who says, okay, I want more than 5. I'm just going to get more and more. I've learned the skills. I'm going to go do it again, and I'm going to go do it again. In fact, I remember the story that Doran Andre tells of when he made it to Prez team, and he had a conversation with Mark Hughes, and was saying, Mark, you know, I just want to really go to the next level. What do I do? And Mark says, well, you know, what have you done already? You know, got to president's team, well, just go do it again and go do it again. And that's really all it is. So that's bottom line it. Now, the power behind this whole ladder is really just, it helps you to focus on your next step through focusing on teaching your people to get to where you are. Powerful. I'm going to recommend that the 7th thing that you would do here is, as far as how to adapt this to your business, would be committed to teach your guys, teach all of your guys how to do this, how to teach this ladder thing to them when it pertains to them. Okay, we'll go through this with our guys when they're, supervisors wanting to get to World Team. This is the first time we introduce them to this, and we take it through them one step at a time. Now, we don't talk about necessarily the higher levels as far as what you must become. We'll only go 1 or 2 levels up. We'll teach a supervisor, what must you become? Well, you must become a builder. You must become someone who builds all 3 groups, and we'll tell you what you must become to be global expansion team after you reach that rung. Don't worry about that right now. So that's where we go. So number 7, teach this all to all of your guys. And then number 8, teach your guys and gals, I mean your organization, to teach their groups the same thing. If you do that, this thing is going to duplicate extremely powerfully, and you'll make it there. So focus on your downline more than your next level, and it's just going to explode.
And you know, it really, this ladder really shows you how fun, simple, and magical this business is. There aren't a lot of secrets. There aren't a lot of there isn't a lot of mystery to this, and how to get going. It's a matter of what we've taught you over this series is learning some of the basic skills. Getting good at that, learning those skills, teaching those skills, and just doing that over and over again brings you to success. It's not complicated. It is fun, simple, magical. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that we've thrown at you over these series that we've done, but we've tried to show you that if you can learn these skills, there's just a handful of skills you need to learn them, teach them, and you'll be able to climb that ladder of success yourself. So it's been great sharing with you what we've learned. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy. We hope that you're able to take something from what we've brought into you and apply it to your business and to really make the changes in your business that'll bring you to that next level.
And one last thought on that too. Don't be afraid of what you're going to have to learn 2 or 3 levels up. It's not that you don't have to be afraid of that, because if you're teaching what you've already learned, you will automatically learn the next thing. Just teach what you've already learned. It'll automatically learn the next thing. Powerful. I'm so thankful for this business. I'm so thankful for Herbalife that it can be boiled down to something that basic, that simple. Let's go just take this thing around the world together, and cannot wait to see you guys all at the next Herbalife event.